Hey everybody, Professor Snart here. It's Monday morning, just checking in. Probably a pretty busy weekend for everybody. We have finished up our first few units, introductions, and then some stuff about kind of the poetic mindset and where do poems come from and that sort of thing. And now we move into really the core of our course here, our first workshop. So obviously in a physical classroom, this is a little bit more, I wouldn't even say easier, but just more familiar to people. So you'd all come in with a short story or a poem, in this case, that you've written, and we would sit in groups and you would exchange those poems and you'd get feedback. Pretty simple, right? It's a little bit more or less, obvious, like how do we do that in the online setting, but actually it works pretty much the same way. So you'll notice that for our workshop units, and this first one is Unit 4, there's two sets or two due dates, right? The first one is to make sure that everybody submits their work, so submit a poem, to the group discussion board that is just specific to your group. So you'll see that if I click myself into the units here. Unit 4 is our first workshop. You'll find yourself listed in, I think we ended up with 2 groups. I didn't set them up right away because I never know how many people there's going to be, and of the people who are listed, who seems to be really participating in the course. But those are set up. So you click yourself in. I'll just go into Workshop Group 1. You'll notice that there's a set of group tools here. There's a discussion board and also send email. The email part, probably no one's going to use. It's just the discussion board. Pardon me. I click myself in. You'll notice that you then get this screen. It says discussion board. It says create forum. Don't click that, right? Don't go in there. It's not going to totally mess things up, but it's a lot harder for me to navigate because of the way things are set up in Blackboard. It's a lot easier, not just for me, but also for everyone else in the group, if you click yourself once again into the link that says Unit 4 Workshop Group 1 or whatever group you're going into. And then you'll find yourself right in the actual workshop here, or not the workshop, sorry, the discussion board. And so I see that someone has done it right. Good job, Jonathan. He has posted his poem. If I open that post, he hasn't written anything, which is fine, but there's just the file there, Workshop 1, his name, and then it's posted as an RTF, which is good because just about everyone can open that up. And the first poem's called The Welcome, so Jonathan, it works because I'm looking at it. So that's what you need to do for the first due date, which is Monday. I'm going to just double check that. Yeah, Monday, June 4th, which is basically by the end of today. And so the only thing you need to do to get full points for this part of the workshop is post your poem in the right spot on time. That's it. There's no assignment about what kind of poem you have to write, the topic, the style, none of that stuff. This is all just work that you are producing. Maybe it's stuff that you've been thinking about writing, maybe you've never really been writing poems before, so this is just your first shot at it. That's fine, whatever the case may be. Like I said, because of the various levels that people are at, and I don't mean that in any sort of pejorative sense. Some people just write poems all the time. It's something they've been doing forever. Other people take this course because they've never done it. So people are just new to this or veteran poetry writers. I don't grade how good the poem is for the most part. All I grade is whether you're following the basic guidelines here to make the workshop work. Okay, so you've posted your poem by the due date here. It is a file, not just text pasted in. It's in the right spot so everyone can get to it. Pretty simple, I hope. The next due date then for Unit 4 is Wednesday, June 6th. You provided feedback to all of the group members who posted on time. In other words, I would now go back into my discussion board, and after Monday, which is when everyone should have posted their poems, I then will go into each of my group members' posts, open that poem file up and read it, maybe comment right on it, but certainly respond at length and in depth and with specifics to that author. So most of the feedback people will get on their writing from this course doesn't come from me per se, it comes from the peers within your various groups. So it's really, really important that it's just like the golden rule. Treat others as you would want to be treated, right? You want feedback, meaningful feedback on your work, not just, hey, it rhymed, that's great, or, oh, I don't like rhyme, or great title. You know, that's a place to start, but you really want feedback that's meaningful, that shows that the reader spent some time. And of course, and this is where it gets a little awkward, of course the best kind of feedback is not just, this was great, this was great, this was great, but really, you know, well, why did you choose this word? Or I'm not sure I understood what was happening in these lines, and then quote the lines, right? Cut and paste so that person knows what lines are confusing. So feedback of this kind can feel sort of negative, especially to those of us who are very fragile because we're like writers and stuff. But you really have to appreciate that the feedback you're getting is given in the best spirit of the thing. Like, here's a place where I was confused in the poem, or here's a place where I'm not sure that you chose the right word, could you explain that? And then you as the writer can look back, and if all of the people in your group said, you know, I was confused at the end, then you as the writer might want to say, maybe the end isn't quite as strong as I need it to be. So really invest time in that feedback. I'm just asking you to, otherwise it doesn't work. And again, your grade will really be reflective of how much you've invested in giving some feedback. If it's a short paragraph, couple lines, you know, I love this, I didn't quite get the end, good job, that just doesn't cut it. That's not the kind of feedback you want to get, and that's not the feedback that you can give. Sorry. Okay, so the 2 due dates, be sure you follow directions to get your stuff posted on time, and then respond meaningfully to everybody in your group. If somebody posts late or posts wrong, it's basically up to you as far as whether you want to bother responding with feedback. You're more than welcome to, but I only grade based on the due date, the first due date for posting your stuff. So the one that I just looked at, Jonathan from Group 1, he's got full points for it. He's done it on time. I know there's other people in the other group who've posted, not quite right, but okay. But the files are there for other people to get. And that's all you've got to do. Again, anything late, I don't accept. It just doesn't work as far as what we're trying to accomplish here. So there's no points for that. It's sort of yes or no, cut or dry. Cut and dry, black or white. Okay, whatever. And then, of course, getting the feedback or giving feedback, that's really where I expect an investment of time and energy. We have a couple more workshops that we'll be doing later in the term, so this is our first one. It's really important that things go smoothly, or we work out any technical questions people have, because it is something that we'll be returning to throughout the term. And again, this workshop environment really is the core of our class. It is fundamentally the way that you get feedback on the writing that you're doing. And it's always feedback designed to make the writing better, even if it's a very first effort. So a little bit better is still improvement. It's not like you get an A if you go from a really great to a really, really great poem. I'm just not grading on the writing aspect of it that way. It's just not feasible. It's not really fair to the writers in the class. And that's all of you. You're all writers in the class. Okay, so especially now more than ever, if you have questions about how things are working, or you can't access material, or just whatever, be in touch with me right away so I can get in there, figure out what's going on and fix it, and I'll respond, you know, pretty much immediately. I'm kind of plugged in 24/7 to our class here for the 5 weeks, so I get back to them right away as much as possible. Okay, so good luck with the first workshop. Stay on top of the due dates, make sure you've got all the bases covered, and be in touch with any questions.